2, 1.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to call the meeting, the February meeting of the One High Point Commission adjourn, in session. Okay, first of all, I want to thank everybody for actually getting here, because tonight is a nasty night out there. I got to actually experience it firsthand on the way here. But we're here and ready to get started. First, let's have a moment of silence. Thank you. All right, before we actually call the roll, I got a couple of phone calls, and there are a couple of people that are commissioners that I really would like you to keep in your prayers. Commissioner McMichael's grandfather passed recently, and Commissioner Austin Wilson is under the weather tonight. Thank you. Thank you. And now I'll have Commissioner Tolliver to call the roll.
All right. Chair Austin,
Present.
Vice Chair Austin Wilson, Commissioner Brenda Dietz,
Present.
Commissioner Lavelle McMichael, Commissioner Faye McCauley,
Present.
Commissioner Doris Patrick,
Present.
Commissioner Constance Reynolds,
Present.
Commissioner Janet Riley Wright, Commissioner Robert Sims, Commissioner Tolliver is here, Commissioner Robert Williamson,
Present.
Councilman Holmes,
Present.
and Councilman Johnson.
Present. Thank you. And we do have a quorum. But we don't have any action items on the agenda for tonight, so. Okay, in December, we had what I consider an excellent meeting. We got quite a bit accomplished. We walked through and finalized the budget. That budget was presented to the High Point City Council, and council approved it. And Manager Hollis, what was the final total on that budget?
Final total was $45,000.
Great. We also, at that time, asked for an extension on getting the work done. We asked for an extension till January. We were granted that extension till September 18th. So we've done a lot, and we have a lot ahead of us. The major portion of the budget that we are now in the process of doing is identifying and bringing our content experts on board. And I'll turn it over to Manager Hollis to give us a recap or an update on how that process is going to be handled and where we are at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Juan Hollis, Managing Director, City of High Point. The commissioners should have in front of them two documents that I'll be referring to. One is a document of subject matter experts submitting proposals, and the other should be a timeline. what we've, with everything that the chair sort of recapped, where we are now is we have a deadline of September 18th, and essentially, we've got about really 4 or 5 months of work that we have to compress to meet the deadlines of getting the information back in front of the commission, getting the information approved by the commission, getting the information to the community, and then finally getting it to council. So when you look at that September 18th deadline on your timeline there, really working your way back from there to reports, output, and community involvement, community engagement. What the other document that you have there is the proposal document. So the commission has already given a blueprint of the topical subject areas that the subject matter experts will be dealing in. So the proposal that you see here, the proposal document, is a guideline that will be on the website. Commissioners, you have it. Feel free to share it. So we have the document broken down into an overview of what we're doing, the goals, scope of work, the things that we're looking for in the submission, and then the service contract for whichever particular subject matter experts are selected. So from a due date, a proposal timeline, if you refer to your timeline and the front of that sheet, we're asking that anyone that wants to submit a proposal for consideration to achieve the goals that the commission has outlined, that we have that information by February 27th. Mr. Chair, would agree that we've had throughout the process people that have expressed interest. This gives us an opportunity for everyone to understand exactly what those expectations are and to give them some sort of guiding points for the proposals that are submitted. So at this point, we think about it as a rolling deadline as interest is expressed, as people want to submit proposals on how they can help with this effort. Those will be evaluated accordingly up until the February 27th deadline. And after that, we would hope, according to our sheet here, we would hope that by the March timeframe, we will be able to know who those subject matter experts are and have them begin to work with the commission, with the project manager, and with staff to move forward for whatever's needed. I tried to do that in the interest of time. Be glad to answer any questions that anyone might have, and folks, don't let me miss anything. Any questions about the document or the timeline?
What I would suggest is that you do read through it, and so that you understand it fully, because as Managing Director Hollis just mentioned, as you're talking to folks that may be approaching you with interest in working with our commission, you can provide them this document, all right? The city staff will handle vetting the proposals that we receive, and we'll make a decision based on the proposals that we have. And some of the considerations for actually choosing who provides these services, since we have such a tight timeline, we're looking for persons or groups that have already started this work for the most part, you know, that has gleaned a lot of the information that we're looking for and can add to what they have. So, and we're looking at that March timeline to have those groups or persons vetted and on board. Now, understand that they will be reporting directly to the city. You know, because they are hired through the city, working closely with us. All right? So, we will have opportunity and we'll be encouraging them to, whomever it is, to make sure that commissioners are a part of what's going on.
May I ask a question?
Mhm.
Commissioner Dietz, now this document refers to like an Appendix B for the items. I don't have a, should that be part of this proposal thing?
If I may, Mr. Holmes.
Research categories document?
Yep. Ms. Taylor.
This is Denise Taylor, Recording Secretary. Appendix A and Appendix B were previously provided to the commission, so just to go green, in a sense, we didn't reprint that information. This proposal submittal guideline is on our website with the Appendix A and Appendix B, which I believe is the resolution and the proposal guidelines.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denise.
Great question. Any other questions? Comments, concerns? Hearing none, we will move on. One thing that is working in our favor is that a lot of the toughest part of what we have to do and get accomplished has already been done by us. You know, us working through the organizational phase that we went through, us determining coming up with a budget, getting that budget approved, and finally, I think we've gelled to the point where we're all on the same page. Took a few months to do it, and City Council also recognized that, which was a factor in approving our extension. And I will say that I was here the night that they did it, and I think there was only one, maybe two council people that voted against the extension, and maybe one that voted against the budget. So that says a lot within itself, that even City Council is coming together to see the importance of what it is that we're doing. And they can see the end result. Now, understand this also, that our deadline is September 18th. That's for the final document. But as we work through the next few months, we have the opportunity to provide anything that we find or we determine is complete and ready to present to council for approval prior to that date. The importance of that is that this is an election year. And for all intents and purposes, and I know people will continue to do their jobs, but you have campaigning in October, you have elections in November, and they're wrapping it up in December to bring the new council, which we would hope is the same, but to bring the new council on board in January. And council's concern with extending our deadline to January is that the sitting council, since they started this process, wanted to be a part of the end result, which makes sense. Now, understanding that the next council, we hope will be the same, the next council will pick up the mantle and move forward with it. So everything that we've done to this point has been strategic, And I have no doubt that we will present on time a document that, that will be approved. Just simply be approved. Each of you were assigned or chose to work on certain subcommittees, and this was back in November. Right now, I'd like to entertain any updates that anybody want to provide on the committees that they're working on.
Chairman Austin, this is Councilman Holmes. Councilman Johnson and Commissioner Sims and I worked on the federal reparations assignment. We went through several iterations of what a federal reparations package would look like to clearly make the distinction between restorative economic policies and a federal reparations package. And so determinative of that, a lot of the work was around the HB 40 bill that was in the previous Congress. Seeing as how Congress changed, we don't think that's going to have any movement. Elections have consequences. And so it was around that and detailing the idea of compensation for lost labor, compensation for lost land, intellectual property, taxation, and things of that nature that have negatively impacted redlining, the issues of redlining, educational disenfranchisement, the loss of capital, current things in the news such as discriminatory lending practices, discriminatory appraisal practices on homes, all the things that negatively impact African Americans' ability to economically self-determine. And so we detailed those things in a report that I will send to you.
Okay.
And that you have, the entire commission will have a chance to read through. And then also what we'll do is assign what an elementary dollar figure to what a federal reparations package would begin at. And so once we do that, we will have a chance to discuss that. And then also as we approach the public, for those who are still unsure of the difference between restorative policy and a federal reparations package, we hope that this will clear up that misconception between what happened at the federal level and what's happening here at the municipal level.
Great. Good report. The other topics were genealogy, local High Point history, and socioeconomics. Do I have, and you did say you were going to provide us the written report on that? Okay. Do we have any other reports? Okay. Go right ahead.
This is Commissioner Patrick. My question is, we had started in the subcommittee, we had started and thought it was going to be a good idea to do town hall meeting. Is that going to be done sometime in the future, not at all, or what?
Sure it is, and it's part of my update.
Oh, okay.
So we'll get to that.
Okay.
This is Commissioner Reynolds. I don't have a report from my committee, and as of, well, since November, I think I would have to do a check-in with who is still on my committee. But I can tell you all that I have made contact with Ms. Robin Ruth Simmons of First Repair, which is the Evanston-based not-for-profit organization, and we've discussed setting up a time to meet to get some more tools on what that framework looks like, what worked and didn't work on the local level. So that's what I have.
That's excellent. So I will divert from asking for reports and kind of chime in on what Commissioner Reynolds just reported. I actually had the opportunity to talk to Ms. Simmons face-to-face this week. And if you get the time, go to the Big Payback movie.com. there's a documentary on there, on PBS, that it's a documentary of the Evanston, Illinois project. And I'll tell you now without, spoiling it, but if you take Evanston, Illinois out of that movie and you insert High Point, North Carolina, you have the exact same movie. The exact same movie. It was powerful. And to be able to have a conversation with her, man, it brought a lot of things to light. She actually stated that she would be happy to come to High Point at any time, or we can meet with her by Zoom. So that was a good move, and it was powerful. It was powerful. So, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
This is Commissioner Reynolds again. I'm glad you made it. I wanted to be there so bad. I was pulling into the parking lot, and I got a phone call that we had a family emergency, so I just missed it. But I'm glad you were there.
Yeah, Commissioner McMichaels was there also.
Is that at Bennett College?
Yes.
At Bennett College,
Because
yes.
I understand there's a different presentation or discussion for North Carolina A&T, but I don't know the date for that.
Yeah, well, they're doing a HBCU tour.
Okay.
Yeah, so they'll be in several different places with that. And Bennett College was the pilot site and the first site that they stopped. But it was powerful. Please go, please look at that movie or documentary. It will bring a lot to light, okay? You mentioned HR 40. We do have to get behind that, although, yeah, it's going to stalemate. But we really, really need to understand and get behind that. But for us, that's phase 2, 3.
Right.
That's down the road. Right now, our concentration is the city of High Point and those policies that the city of High Point can change to correct what's going on or what has happened in the past. When we start looking at genealogy and how it's related to High Point, you have to remember there's a window of 6 years that from the time High Point was incorporated, till the Emancipation Proclamation. So that's a really short window. Our concentration is everything that happened afterwards, to the present. So, yeah, it was a great day, meeting Ms. Simmons. All right, so for the next 6 months, we have those subcommittees in place, and I want to make some suggestions and maybe refine some of the topics so that we stay in line with what we're asking our content experts to provide and what we are actually researching and providing. Say for the federal reparations group, maybe did the report making recommendations for, and I had to go by my notes because today is one of those days I can't just talk from memory, but making recommendations for considering reparations at the federal level, which is what you said, and based on, well, you say based on the book, Here to Eternity, but here to equality. See, I'm telling you. But that's what you're working on anyway, so that's great. Say the local history group. We have been given permission by Mr. Glenn Chavis to make copies of his book and provide those to commissioners. In it,
What's the name of the book?
is that the copy?
Okay, good.
I was.
So did we not make copies for everybody? No, or just the, okay. All right.
So we can print more if needed. We kind of did it where they were assigned to the group, but
Right.
but if you want more, we can.
I think it would be an interesting read for everybody.
Or if it's online,
Because
yeah.
it's dealing with,
It's not online?
it's not online,
Book is out of print.
Isn't it in
Yeah.
public
and it's out
library?
of print, so.
Oh, it's, okay.
But they have it at the museum.
But he did a great job gleaning the history of High Point and the African-American community. So he's agreed to work with us and provide information. But what did I have? The local history group, all right, we've got the copies of that. Maybe your task is to identify city actions that might be included in the potential apology and can be recognized as past reparations. There are a number of city policies that are still on the books that have negatively impacted the African-American community. And the task to the history group is to see if you can gain knowledge of what those policies and procedures are, or policies that were passed. And let's take a look at them and see if they are ones that we would recommend being taken off the books. Because they're there, you know. All right, as far as the genealogy group, there's a lot of information at UNCG in their digital library that references the slavery that, the slaves that were in this area, not just High Point, but Guilford County. And I would ask that the genealogy group explore those areas. The task is to prepare a report on enslaved population in High Point and possible Guilford County. So, and if you can get that done, that'll help with the content experts and pulling those two pieces together. Those in the socioeconomic group and Commissioner Deeds and Commissioner McCauley, I'd really like you all to determine which of the other groups you'd like to work with and let us know. Are there any questions?
Mr. Chair, just for clarification for our notes and minutes, so the assignments that you've revised include the Dr. Darity's book for federal reparations, Glenn Chavis's, Mr. Chavis's book to review in relation to city actions, and you said an apology.
Mm-hmm.
And the third was the slave deeds at the UNCG project?
That was it.
Okay, got it.
That was it.
Thank you.
Okay, I've done a lot of talking. Are there any questions, concerns, comments? Is there any clarity that needs to be?
Is there one committee or another that needs to have additional support or resources to, or
Socioeconomic, Lavelle, and
socioeconomic?
That's awesome.
Because I'd like you to work with the history group, but I'm not, I'm trying to, know that-
Commissioner Reynolds said socioeconomic one might be one too, so I mean.
well, that's the
or-
one that we are dissolving and
Oh,
them moving into the other group.
okay.
Oh, I
And
didn't hear that, I'm
particularly-
sorry.
And particularly since the history group are going to start crafting the apology. Okay?
This is, she passed out today.
But if you get with Commissioner Tolliver,
Okay.
he can catch you up on what you, and you showed an interest, huh?
Oh, I need an assignment.
Yeah, but you, in the last meeting, you voiced an interest in working on the apology, so you need to
So
work with
that'll
the
be
history
history.
group also.
Okay,
Yes.
and history is also looking into policies.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect, I'll take it.
City policy.
Okay.
Question. Commissioner McCauley, my understanding was, since I was replacing Mr. Charles, Commissioner Charles,
Henley?
yeah, that I was supposed to already be assigned to the genealogy group because
And
that's
that's
what he
fine.
was. Okay.
Am I the only outlier for that one? I'm like, keep my head down like.
You good?
Yeah, I can't.
All right, so is there anybody else that is not clear on an assignment working on?
Mr. Chairman, does Commissioner Deeds have an assignment? Is she on that?
She gonna work with local.
Work with history.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, now,
You're looking out for me, thank you.
all right, so now let me circle back around to Commissioner Patrick's question earlier. We have been in conversation with the High Point NAACP, the Reparations Committee, and they have proposed a series of meetings on the Black agenda. And in those meetings, with possibly the first one happening in March, those meetings will be open to the public. We will encourage the public to be here and have conversation, panel discussions and conversation on what reparations is, whatever it is that we're working on at that time. The first being, again, like the YWCA, introducing what reparations actually entail and what our role is as commissioners, and get public comment on that. So you'll hear a little more about that before that happens. One thing that we considered, as opposed to creating another meeting, because they actually wanted to do it in council chambers so that we have the technology and so forth to use, and this information can go out to the city as a whole. As opposed to creating another meeting, we will have our meeting, first, and then break and do the public forums on those same nights. And that's been the suggestion, so give me feedback on that. Do you think that we have so much to discuss each night, which I hope we do, that might not be feasible?
So I think if we're talking about combining, Councilman Holmes, if you're thinking about combining the one High Point agenda, commission agenda, plus the state of the Black agenda, that depending on the size of each one of those agendas, we could have a very long night. And so I would say that if we're going to do that, then we need to come to consensus on a joint agenda where we're able to cover highlighted topics from the one high point, or fold them into those that overlap between that and the agenda of the NAACP Reparations Committee. So that way we have a concise agenda that people won't tune out of because it's a 4-hour plus meeting. So I would just say, I think the plan logistically is okay, but in terms of what the agenda looks like and to get the most eyes and ears on it, I think it needs to be a little bit more concise and thought out before we release a consistent agenda between both of the commissions.
All right, anybody else?
Any concerns with, I'm just thinking out loud, with having the meetings on the same night, if we may or may not be aligned?
That's where I was gonna go. All right. It would be, and like I said, we were entertaining that on this night to not create another meeting, you know, that we all would have to attend, which, you know, it would be okay if we did. My concern is that I don't want to take away from the work of the commission and rush what we do simply because we have something else happening that same night. That's the first point. The second point is the NAACP is a great partner with us. But they are the NAACP and we are the commission. So we don't want to confuse it to think that our agenda is their agenda. Because there may be some things that, you know, we don't necessarily fall in line with. So those are my two concerns with this. The event itself, fantastic. You know, with the YWCA event, that was the pilot event for me. And it was well attended and received. I see this as being just as good. But again, I don't want to confuse the fact that we are two separate entities, working toward the same goal, but, you know, we are two separate entities. Staff, anybody?
Mr. Chair, thank you. Jerron Hollis, Managing Director. So I think that as I understand it in the conversations that I've had, and I know we have some representatives specifically from the NAACP here on the commission, the Black agenda has a number of topics that they're going to be covering over time. The overlap with the commission, there are specific carve-outs or specific topics specifically dealing with reparations. So there may be an opportunity to have, at least like what you mentioned for the March meeting, having a presentation from that group that is, so it's not a commingled agenda necessarily. That doesn't have to be. I mean, that might work too. I think that was a good idea, but it could just be having a presentation on that night on the reparations. The NAACP has been reading the Darity book, and that was a part. So there's like almost as an education piece, and then those other outreach opportunities could come down the road where they would be, because the NAACP is one of the partnering groups to help establish the resolution, so you have that tie-in. But if to go back to your timeline, one of the things that we have built in August, after the report being done, but prior to the presentation to council, is community meetings. So there could be some opportunities where the community meetings, initially there's that education piece early in the process, and then later on in the summer, early fall, you could have the discussion about community meetings to let the community see
The
what,
recommendations.
what those recommendations are. So that might be a way, because as I understand it, the Black Agenda is going to go on and on and on as they go through specific topics. Am I right about that?
Correct.
So we could just have a piece of it where we're hosting a couple of meetings and they overlap, and so then I think there'll be less confusion, especially if you specify it's a presentation from the NAACP, then that might be a way to sort of navigate that, but
Yeah,
it's just a thought.
I'm looking at the screen. Is Commissioner McMichaels on? And Dr. Wade?
It looks like they are. They're both
Oh, okay.
joining
Okay.
remotely. And Vice Chair,
I'm here.
Okay, great. Did you want to make any comment?
Not at this time, other than whatever I need to do to support any other efforts on any other committees I'm willing to do, and I concur on all of the comments that y'all made about the Payback movie and our need to really align with looking at our policies within the city to make sure that we're on the right track when it comes to making recommendations on how we can begin this repair.
Okay, great. Commissioner Austin Wilson, do you want to chime in?
Yes, good evening, everyone. This is Commissioner Austin Wilson. And we do have the interest of North Carolina Central's Law School to be a participant and partner in this. It is the SJREJ program, which is the Social Justice and Racial Equity Institution. And it is led by Scott Holmes, Attorney Scott Holmes, and they are interested in assisting us in this process as well. So we would have a deeper conversation with them in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. And were you on when Managing Director Hollis presented the subject matter experts guideline? If not, we have a document that you can provide anybody that shows an interest and they want to be a part of what we're doing.
Yes, I was trying to have I've had my hand raised for an hour,
okay.
but I wasn't notified, I wasn't recognized. So
Okay.
yes, I do,
apologize.
I would like that packet.
Okay. So we'll make sure that you get this document.
Okay, and that helps us with the part that we are with the social economics piece that Commissioner Reynolds was talking about as well. That sort of assists us in that piece as well. I know you're saying you're dissolving that, but it still ties in.
Okay.
question, Madam Vice Chair, this is Jerron House. Can you hear me?
I can.
Have you, Scott Holmes, is he the point of contact for?
He will be.
Okay.
I don't know if he's going to be the only point of contact, but he is the dean of the institution.
Okay, so do you want to get the information to him directly, or do you want us to reach out to him to get the document so he can review it and determine what his proposal would look like?
I could send it to him.
Okay.
First, I need to just have another conversation with him, and then we can go from there. So we can work out the logistics of this, Jerron, after this meeting.
Okay, just being mindful of the submission deadline, so I just didn't want to delay
Right,
it.
February the 27th is your end date?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Understood.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Dr. Wade, are you on?
I am, Mr. Chair. My apologies to the commission. I was unable to be with you this evening, but I am here at least by audio.
And in the beginning, when I mentioned, prayers for Commissioner Austin Wilson and Commissioner McMichaels, also Facilitator Ratchford has just come out of surgery. So he's not here tonight because he's recouping. So y'all keep him in your prayers also. Okay. All right, is there any other discussion, concerns, questions?
Mr. Chair, just a few.
Go right ahead.
This is Commissioner Vice Chair Austin Wilson, and I represent on behalf of the NAACP and them creating the resolution. So when we talked about, I know we're the commission and they're the NAACP, but we do need to be very put this in our thought process that they are the creators of the resolution, and we would like to have them as partners as much as we possibly can and to work with them on these endeavors that we continue to move forward with. They are going to present a packet to the two representatives, the two commissioners, which would be myself and Faith. And as we look at that packet to see what are their requests and what would they like to see from the commission, as soon as we receive that, we'll be following up with you all as commissioners so we can take a look at that packet together as a group and then see where we are with some of their requests that they do have for the city of High Point.
That's great.
Thank you.
Where does that fall within the timeline for that? Is that separate than where does that fall within the timeline for
Where is
receiving final requests from the NAACP as?
Oh, that's ongoing.
Okay.
Yeah.
May I ask whose voice that is? I'm not picking up the voice and I don't ever hear a name
Hi, I'm
attached
sorry.
to it.
This is Commissioner Dietz, Brenda Dietz.
Okay, okay, we haven't met yet, but thank
No,
you.
we have not had the pleasure. Look forward to meeting you.
Yes.
So, do we have any other comments, concerns, questions?
If I could make an announcement?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah, okay. This is Commissioner Reynolds. I just wanted to remind folks of the February 11th prayer vigil that's going to be on Wren Street. It's February 11th at 4 p.m. And it's commemorating the 63rd anniversary of High Point's historic 1960 high school students Woolworth sit-in. So this is a great opportunity to show up and stand in solidarity, and also to meet the community and represent the commission.
Yes, and I can say that holds dear to my heart because my father, William T. Austin, was one of those historical students that sat in that day. So I definitely would be a part of that.
That's right.
Commissioner Austin Wilson.
And be mindful, although, I don't necessarily celebrate Black History Month because Black History Month is 12 months for me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to.
But there are a number of activities that will take place this month that you need to be mindful of and if possible, attend.
This is an announcement for the museum.
Okay.
The behind it. We need to support that.
Okay. You want to make that announcement?
Okay, this is Commissioner Patrick. I was pointing out to our chair that the city so graciously furnished us with announcement concerning Black histories. These are things worth mentioning, and I think the public need to, I don't know how you all can get this to the public, but this is my first time seeing it, and we need to spread the word. It says, in honor of the 94th birthday, a reading of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., his keepsake letters, Wednesday, January 18th, 3:30 p.m. at the Senior Citizen Center. That's something that I've not heard. And then they have something going on every Saturday after that, Saturday, February 11th. And all these things are free. They are also at the museum on Lexington Avenue. They will be talking about Black history. It would be very nice if we could get our teenagers in there since they have no idea what Black history is, since they took the books out of school. And when I was in there, we didn't have not nearly one that we could refer to. So this is something that is going to be very beneficial for the Black, not just Blacks, but there are whites that want to learn about our history also. But it's sad that we have juniors, seniors, sophomores, and they have no idea, just born and they just went to school, that's all.
All right, so I'll ask if we can have this put on the city's website, since this is a city document. And anybody that's listening, if you go to the city's website, you'll see a list of the events that are happening in High Point, at the museum and so forth, that, for Black History Month.
Mr. Chair, just a few housekeeping things from the staff side. I promise to be brief. The document flyer that Commissioner Patrick was referring to, that is what we included along with those bags of candy for the MLK parade. We included that for the commission so that you could see some of the creative ways that, because you also see some information on there about the One High Point Commission and the meetings. So just an example of some of the creative ways that we are getting the word out. So everyone that was at the MLK parade that we could find got that bag of candy, but the candy had some education attached to it.
Very good.
So those are some things. We just wanted to show you some examples of what we are doing. That is on the Human Relations page, that information. Yeah, those events are up there. So one of the things that's important to us is to make sure we find creative ways to get the word out to the community, to your point. Along those lines, since we are in Black History Month, there have been a message sent out to the group about doing a group photo. Now, it's time sensitive because we want to post it through social media and have it out there. I know we have several commissioners that aren't here. I'd leave it to the group whether you still want to do the photo, because I don't think you'll be getting back together again before Black History Month is over. And then the last two things, if you've experienced any email issues with your City of High Point account, if you've been locked out or whatever, contact Denise Taylor. We can get you in touch with IT and clear that up. And finally, I think earlier we had talked about the committee assignments on the commission. I think for our purposes, can we get a roll call or count of who's on what committee so that we can have that clear going forward for the dissemination of information? I don't know, Denise, I don't know what you have in front of you, Mr. Chair. That's all I have.
Denise Taylor, Recording Secretary. It would help if, when I call your name, you could just state whichever work group you're on, and then we can record that. Commissioner Deets.
History?
Commissioner McMichael. I'll come back to him. Commissioner McCulley.
Genealogy.
Commissioner Patrick.
History, local history.
Commissioner Reynolds.
History.
Commissioner Sims, I believe, is on federal reparations. Commissioner Tolliver.
Local history.
Commissioner Williamson.
Genealogy.
Councilman Holmes and Councilman Johnson, I have both of you for federal reparations as well. So does anyone know for Commissioner Riley Wright?
She's genealogy as well.
Genealogy, thank you. And then Commissioner McMichael? Does
Federal
anyone-
reparation.
I'm sorry, you said federal reparations?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I hand it back over to you, Chair.
All right, along the lines with the emails, let me apologize for the January meeting information went out on, I think, December 27th about not meeting in January because City Council had not had the opportunity to review and approve our budget and our extension. I sent out a reminder email the day before the meeting, and I get a read receipt anytime an email that I send out is opened. And I didn't receive one from any of the commissioners. I did receive one from staff, but not the commissioners. But along those lines, I also sent out emails around January 4th that I was getting phone about meetings on the 12th, that on the 19th, they actually went to whomever I sent them to. So I was getting, calls about I missed the meeting because I'm just getting the email. So I'm saying all that to say that it appears that your emails from staff are reaching you much better than emails from me. So from this point on, I will be contacting staff and having them send out emails for me. And that way we can make sure that you get the information. Because I don't want that to happen again. Who took my candy?
You're not supposed to be
I know that. All right. Are there any other concerns? Questions, comments? Entertain a motion to adjourn?
Commissioner D.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and second. We are adjourned.
I need this for the little.
Now, are we taking a picture or what?
You should take it.
You should wait on Courtney.
Yeah, so
No.
let's send out an email immediately to poll the commissioners on a day that we can get together and do that. It won't take but a few minutes to do it.
We want to do.
So come back down here to take a picture?
Yeah,
ASAP,
just come back down one day and do the picture.
Take a picture now.
I agree.
Well, it would hopefully
Sooner than later, right.
But it just might be challenging to get everybody back together. That's why we kind of picked this time. Right.
Can we take
And then
one
do
tonight?
individual ones, maybe for the ones that aren't here?
Oh, I'm sorry.
At it?